everyone, Carol here. I am the editor of NOSH, and we are at the Winter Fancy Food Show in San Francisco. And I'm joined today by Keith Schroeder, who is the founder and CEO of High Road Craft Ice Cream. Keith, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
So tell our audience, what is High Road?
Sure. So I'm a chef by trade. Started High Road back in 2010 with the intention of being the ice cream company for the culinary community. So we started as a food service only brand and then slowly rolled out to the natural channel and then over the years into mainstream retailers. And today we're a fairly large manufacturer relative to the specialty food world. Have a large plant in Marietta, Georgia, 75,000 square feet, and represent and manufacture and ideate for a number of brands now.
In terms of the consumer-facing product, you guys had a very strong regional presence, and it's only been in recent years that we've seen you start to grow into other parts of the country. So what has your distribution strategy been with that product line?
So one of the things we did very discreetly over the last 5 years is we actually started our national footprint as a private brands manufacturer. So there are a number of retailers, many of which I can't mention today, of course, that we've both developed and manufactured products for. And so we got better at manufacturing, we got better at distribution, we got better at logistics, we became fairly expert at the food safety side of things. And as we grew in the private label arena, decided, okay, now it's time. We've got a certain sophistication relative to the working bones of our category. The deep frozen cold chain is brutal in terms of cost and getting it right. And so to have giant retailers as partners to help teach you how to get it right was probably one of the smarter moves we ever made. And so on the heels of that, felt like we had permission then to, okay, it's time for High Road to be a national brand.
Around the same time that you started expanding distribution, you also acquired Ciao Bella Gelato. So what did that brand bring to the High Road portfolio?
So Ciao Bella was a brand that actually inspired me to be interested in ice cream to begin with. When I started my career in the 90s as a chef, Ciao Bella was the premier food service brand. Like you weren't cool if you weren't using Ciao Bella back in the day. And so we felt that we could be good stewards of the brand. It had gone through a couple of iterations of being owned by PE. And you know, being owned by PE comes with its certain challenges, and I think to retreat a little bit and get the brand into the hands of a family-owned, family office-funded type environment where we could really nurture the brand, help to reinvigorate the brand a little bit, but more importantly, from a growth perspective, right, it helped us fill trucks. And the cost difference between LTL and FTL is material. So over time, one of the things that High Road had to do to be viable coast-to-coast brand or family of brands is to grow and to grow our portfolio.
And how do you set that pace of innovation? How do you figure out what's too fast, when you need to push yourself to innovate a little quicker? Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of the things that's nice about ice cream and grocery is that there's this de facto annual cycle of category review. So annual is good. Coming up with a portfolio of new ideas twice a year probably hits the mark better because you can take advantage of, you know, mid-season cut-in and innovation opportunities where products are being discontinued, and you could slot something in to try it on for size. We did that with our Wallops, introduced them early as sort of on a pilot level, and now we'll be growing them, I think, over 5,000 doors this year.
Discussing innovation, certainly we've seen trends like keto or plant-based really start to heavily come into play in the ice cream set. You've resisted going into both categories. What's your thought process there, and how have you decided, you know, what trends you want to play to and which ones you just want to stay away from?
Yeah, there's a couple things. You know, with the ascent of Halo Top, we stayed out of the way, so to speak, to watch whether or not this was going to be a crescendo and a decline, and in many ways we've seen that happen. And the other thing is you just have to stay true to what you're all about. I mean, when it's all said and done, most of the folks who work at High Road were in the restaurant industry. We weren't a better for you set, so to speak. There's an unabashed pride in the indulgent moment that we're all about at High Road. And so you know, we just stay in our lane, so to speak, and continue to be there for those moments when the consumer wants what they want.
How have you dealt with competition, though? Because certainly the ice cream category has changed a lot in the last decade.
You know, we're more dedicated to getting better at manufacturing, getting better at developing, and we're willing to lose occasionally. We're willing to get discontinued in a particular region if we're not a good fit. We're not going to force our brands down the throat of the marketplace. We'll let them kind of macerate and slowly get people acclimated to what we're all about. I do think that our differentiating factor, though, is amongst a sea of co-packed brands, we're a tried and true manufacturer. And so far we've seen, significant double-digit growth year over year. We've been on the Inc. 5000 for the past 4 years, anticipate getting on it for the 5th. And so when I'm talking to my team, we're okay with wins and losses.
So looking forward to the future, thinking about that Inc. 5000 list next year, what else do you see 2020 holding for the brand?
So I believe that High Road is ready to be, I would say, entry-level enterprise, right? We're starting to look more and more like a sophisticated, established ice cream company by the day. And so it's our intention to go play against the likes of Wells and Nestle and Unilever and try to be, the country's next generation leading ice cream company. And, we don't want to be small forever. We're a pretty ambitious little group.
Well, we're excited to see where that ambition takes you. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your story. And if you want to keep following along with our content from the show floor, make sure to keep reading NOSH.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and ding that bell.